The Unibody. Quite possibly the best thing Apple has ever designed, and honestly, if you don't agree with that, you're gonna absolutely hate this video because this is just a Unibody appreciation post, pretty much. And I mean, come on, Apple themselves seem to agree with me because they used the same design for like 5 years with very, very few changes. Unibody design was first introduced on January 16th, 2008 at the Macworld Expo. Initially for the MacBook Air, it was later in October 2008 at the Apple special event that the MacBook Pro would also get the new chassis design, going from the traditional build of multiple panels to the brand new milled aluminium unibody. But enough blah blah blah, let's just get to the fun bits. And by that I mean showing you the stuff that Apple had the courage to remove. Starting off with the obvious. Yes, it's got a headphone jack. But aside from that, on the same side it sports MagSafe 1, Ethernet, mini DisplayPort or Thunderbolt 2 on later models, 2 USB ports, an SD card slot, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and then on the other side is the Apple SuperDrive and Kensington lock slot. And now, for the more subjective stuff, man, I just love how these machines look and feel. The chassis makes the whole thing feel damn near indestructible, the keyboard is excellent. In fact, as you probably guessed, I'm typing this very script on the MacBook, and it's just unbeatable. The key travel, the feel, everything about it. And yes, I know my iMac is right next to me, but I don't care! This MacBook Pro, just nothing else types like it. I love it. And the fact that it's just so simple to service just really seals the deal for me. Speaking of which... Okay, so I wanted to do a really nice disassembly thing, but the only place I can actually fit everything is the floor. So we're doing floor disassembly. But the thing that most people love about these unibodies is just how easy they are to actually service. Because they are. They're incredibly simple. Like, all you need is your screwdrivers. Get that one there. Don't forget that. There we go. So, as you might be able to tell, there is another one over there. And that's because I have 3 of these things. This is a 2012 13-inch. That is a 2009 15-inch. And the one that you saw earlier is my 2009 13-inch. I like these things. Can you tell? But anyway, all of these are very, very similar to get into. And if you're lucky, yours might not have missing screws like mine. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. Yeah, that's fancy. So literally, all you need to do... Some of these screws are different sizes, so what I like doing is putting them in the pattern that they came out of. So like, put that one there, and obviously not on the bottom of the MacBook, I usually put it like off to the side, but doing that, in my opinion, just helps, because you can kind of remember, okay, well I took that one out from there, blah, 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 blah. And then the only thing you really have to remember is where the black bar was, because that's like your reference point, pretty much. And I think I've chosen a screwdriver bit that's probably a little too big, but I mean, it's fine. And what I actually meant by some of the screws are different sizes is you'll get some kind of like that. There's, I think, 3 of these, but the rest of them are pretty much the same thing. I think I've chosen a screwdriver bit that is not exactly ideal. I'm gonna go for one smaller, which I probably should have done in the first place. That's better. So the one I'm using right now, if you're trying this at home, is a 00, and it's... you can't really tell, but there's 2 of them, and I'm using 1 of them. I don't know what the difference is. I'm not clever enough for that. Yeah, mine's just missing 1 screw, which, I mean, I could steal off the 15-inch, because the 15-inch has got problems. And that's something I'll mention later, but for now, all positives. Yeah, just take it out, throw it away. Obviously don't, but look at that. It's all right there. The RAM, you can just clonk, snap it out. This is probably worth its weight in gold, quite literally now. even though it's 4 gigs of not even all that great DDR3, which is quite funny. And people are going to get angry at me because, yes, that's a hard drive, but I don't have enough SSDs for all my Macs. My little 13-inch has got one, my other 13-inch has got one. That 15-inch has one right now, which I'm actually thinking of stealing back because of the problems I mentioned and the fact its battery is kind of... This guy actually has the best battery just because, as far as I know, its processor is a little bit more efficient and just the fact that the battery is in better health. So, you know. Yeah, even when you actually have to disassemble this thing to the logic board, it's tricky, but it's not hard. A better word is probably finicky, actually. Because there's a ton of ribbon connectors, like these ones, that guy, fans, all that crap. But overall, I just noticed my battery connector was a little bit loose, so I just had to press on it. Overall, it's not difficult. Like, the hard drive is incredibly, incredibly simple. You don't have to unscrew these screws over here. If I can zoom in, hang on. Reposition the camera. There we go. You only need to unscrew these two. So these screws up here, you don't need to worry about at all. I mean, there might be a situation where you have to, but I haven't encountered one yet. All you do, just unscrew. And as far as I know, these are captive screws, or at the very least, they're held in there somehow. So, yeah. Still be careful, but... And this is an Apple OEM drive, so it's got this little piece of tape. But, yeah. But Apple did put Torx bits, for some reason, on the actual drive screws. Which is very annoying, but I mean, it's whatever, you know. Not everything can be perfect. Not even the Unibody, even though it is damn close to being so. And the eagle-eyed people might have noticed that, yes, I've done the rubber cement trick on the subwoofer. My 2009 also had speaker damage, and that's another thing these Macs are actually, unfortunately, very, very known for, is their main subwoofers, which I'll get a close-up of somehow. Helps if you flip the thing around. These guys, they just go bad. That's just what they do. And I replaced the one in my 2009 because it was a pretty cheap part, relatively. It was still a little bit more than I would have liked to have paid. But this guy, it's just more expensive and I just don't care. You know, it gets to that point where I don't care. But it would be worth it if I use this thing more, which I actually might end up doing. And honestly, the only reason I don't is because of the speakers, so, you know. But if you have a 2009 13-inch, and I think it's the same part up to the 2011s. This guy's just different because it's Wi-Fi cards here. And that ribbon cable goes over it and around and blah, 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 blah. But overall, especially if you compare it to even one generation after this guy, which is the 13-inch Retina models. Oh boy. I know it took longer than that for stuff like glued-in batteries and all that sort of crap, but this uses standard SATA drives, standard RAM, whereas the Retinas use custom storage, and you can't upgrade the memory at all, ever. Like, if you buy an 8 gig one, it's an 8 gig one. That's it. You can't just stick more RAM in it like you can one of these guys. This currently has 8 gigabytes in it because honestly, there's no reason other than I don't have the RAM that it's not 16 gigs. And yes, I know it would perform better with 16 gigs because of the Intel graphics, but I don't care. Like, I can happily use some of my Power Macs for certain tasks. 8 gigs of RAM doesn't bother me when it's running an operating system it's supposed to. But anyway, enough rambling. Back to the scripted bit, hopefully not on the floor this time. The 15-inch, as I mentioned, also has its own many problems. The keyboard is slightly worn out, but that's okay. The trackpad doesn't really click very well anymore. The SD card, as far as I can recall, is broken. The CD drive's broken. But the biggest issue is that the main GPU it's just not happy. Very, very commonly, this happens on almost every single Unibody MacBook Pro, 15-inch MacBook Pro, that is. Sometimes it's the GPU itself failing, other times it's like a capacitor on the power rail or something. I suspect that's what mine has done. And even up to the 2012 Retina 15-inch, those can also fail. As far as I know, the only one to have resolved it is the 2013 and onwards. However, the 13-inch machines, pretty much all of them are completely reliable except for the speaker. But even with all of those flaws, I just can't help but love these machines. You can get them pretty cheap on eBay still, and if you get a 2012 one and do some OpenCore legacy patcher stuff, I really think that you could daily drive them pretty easily, as long as you don't do any gaming on the go or anything. But just in short, the Unibodies are by far my favorite and a lot of people's favorite Mac laptops. Sturdy, pretty much invincible, cheap, and fun. Because it's an element of Apple that we just don't see anymore. Easy to service, easy to upgrade, all that. And even if you want to mess around with some PowerPC stuff, 2011 and older can all run macOS Snow Leopard, which still has a pretty good PowerPC emulation layer. So almost anything you'd want to do on PowerPC macOS 10, you can do on these early Intel machines. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you in the next one. See ya.